On the first evening of April 2020, two individuals approached a residence situated above a Tesco on University Road in South Belfast, while a third person maintained a cautious distance. The man living in the flat unknowingly exposed himself to the distant observer when he answered the front door. Just 3 days later, this individual was tragically murdered. The victim was Robbie Lawler, a 36-year-old infamous gangster from Dublin, leading to speculation that the visitors might have been part of a hit squad. This incident has sparked a significant ongoing police investigation and signifies a pivotal moment in the criminal underworld, linking criminal factions from both the north and south of Ireland. In today's video, we explore the complex life and tumultuous downfall of Robbie Lawler, once one of Ireland's most dreaded criminals. Who exactly was Robbie Lawler, and how did his name become synonymous with fear across Ireland? Welcome to the Pursuit of Perpetrators channel, where I unravel the veiled tales of cryptic crimes. Born in 1986, Robbie Lawler was raised in Darndale, a deprived area on the north side of Dublin characterised by high unemployment at the time. As a teenager, he became embroiled in petty crime and left school at the age of 16. To earn money, he ventured into drug dealing and rapidly ascended the hierarchy of Dublin's criminal underworld. Lawler gained a reputation for his ruthless and violent disposition, engaging in numerous violent crimes, including armed robberies. His criminal ventures weren't confined to Ireland. He was also linked to drug trafficking networks in the UK and Spain. Additionally, Lawler was implicated in several high-profile murders in Ireland, though he was never convicted of these crimes. His notoriety soared, making him one of Ireland's most sought-after criminals. Despite being arrested multiple times and accumulating over 120 convictions, Lawler consistently evaded long-term imprisonment. His first alleged connection to a murder was in 2005, involving the drug dealer Mark Byrne. While incarcerated in Mountjoy Prison, Lawler found himself in a confrontation with Mark Byrne. Shortly after Byrne was temporarily released, he was fatally shot on a bustling street, marking one of the earliest indications of Lawler's ruthless retribution. Lawler was arrested in connection with the murder, but never faced charges due to insufficient evidence. In a further escalation of violence, in 2008, Lawler was arrested following a shocking incident where a gunman approached a car in which a man was seated with a baby, firing 5 shots through the driver's side window. The attack left the man critically injured and also harmed the baby. It is suspected that Lawler was the gunman in a particularly brutal incident, motivated by a personal grievance with alleged racist undertones. Nevertheless, he once again avoided prosecution. The following year, in 2009, another prominent figure in the gangland scene, David Fred Lynch, was fatally shot in North Dublin. On the day he turned 26, his body was discovered in a field by a passerby walking their dog. Gardaí suspected that Lawler, then only 24, had targeted him following a personal dispute. Lynch was also known to have connections with leaders of a rival gang faction and had been the recipient of multiple threats prior to his murder. Allegedly, Lynch was enticed into the field by a phone call suggesting a meeting. The pattern of violence continued. In 2010, Lawler was implicated in the murder of Noel Deans, a minor criminal indebted over cannabis transactions. Although no charges were brought, the Gardaí believed Lawler had been hired for the killing. Demonstrating a chilling duplicity, Lawler reportedly shared tea with Dean's distraught mother just hours after the murder, a testament to his ruthless nature. Following this, Lawler left Ireland, embarking on a global journey. The volatile Drogheda feud began in 2017, when a drugs gang from Drogheda, led by gangster Owen Maguire, fractured into 2 groups after 2 younger members decided to strike out on their own. The new faction opposing Maguire received support from Lawler's brother-in-law, the seasoned criminal Richard Carberry. Although Lawler was associated with figures like the notorious gangland leader Mr. Big and was part of the anti-Maguire faction, he increasingly operated independently, adopting the role of a freelance hitman in his final years. Lawler found himself surrounded by adversaries and became a marked man not just for Maguire, but also for Mr. Big. Following a dispute over finances that turned them into bitter rivals, Lawler was then pinpointed as a prime suspect in the February 2018 assassination of Mr. Big's principal enforcer and hitman, Kenneth Finn. During this period, the escalating conflict between their factions witnessed numerous violent acts including stabbings and car bombings. A leading figure in the anti-Maguire faction, Lawler was believed to have personally targeted mob boss Owen Maguire in July 2018. Maguire, a central figure in a deadly feud with the rival faction, was critically injured in the attack, which left him paralysed. Merely an hour after Maguire was shot, Lawler was apprehended by Gardaí. He was stopped in North Louth for driving with a flat tire and speeding, and notably, he was found in his underwear and drenched in petrol. It is thought that Lawler had doused himself in petrol to eradicate any forensic evidence, such as gun residue or DNA, from the scene of the attempted murder. Upon his return in 2017 from a trip abroad, Robbie Lawler's personal life was in turmoil. He discovered that the mother of his 2 children had begun a new relationship, a development that left Lawler far from pleased. He initiated a campaign of threats and intimidation against her, which escalated to the assault of his ex-girlfriend and the attempted murder of her new mother-in-law in May 2018. Lawler was subsequently arrested and imprisoned. While Lawler was incarcerated, his brother-in-law, Richard Carberry, was fatally shot in a retaliatory attack in November 2019, just days before he planned to relocate to the UK. At the scene, Carberry's wife and daughter attempted to aid him until the paramedics arrived, but he succumbed to his injuries. A month later, in a turn of events, Lawler was released from prison as all charges, including those relating to the assault and attempted murder, were unexpectedly dropped. With a bounty already on his head and seeking vengeance for Carberry's murder, Lawler's situation grew increasingly precarious. Meanwhile, gang boss Cornelius Price, who had recently died but was once a rival, was also released from prison, further intensifying the feud. Gardaí were concerned that Lawler, feeling threatened by significant figures in Drogheda and fearful of conflict with the Kulak mobster known as Mr. Big, might ignite further violence. Secret prison recordings revealed that Lawler suspected Mr. Big was responsible for Carberry's assassination. By the time of Lawler's release, Mr. Big and Cornelius Price had apparently allied themselves, leading Lawler to feel increasingly isolated and disrespected, which likely fueled his paranoia. Just days after being freed, Lawler faced another confrontation as he exited a gym. Robbie Lawler experienced a humiliating confrontation when he was mugged by younger members of a rival gang. They forcibly took his gym bag and even stole his flip-flops, later mocking him by posting photos and a TikTok video wearing them. The person who created the video is believed to have been an associate of David Fred Lynch, a man allegedly murdered by Lawler in 2009. This string of events led up to one of the most appalling incidents in Irish criminal history, the murder of 17-year-old Keane Woods in January 2020. His remains were discovered on different dates and at various locations, disturbingly accompanied by the stolen flip-flops. It is alleged that Lawler and his associates had abducted Mulready Woods and subjected him to torture at a house in Rathmullen. Lawler was identified as the prime suspect in this brutal case. Mulready Woods was thought to be affiliated with the rival gang faction led by figures such as Cornelius Price. Lawler was reportedly aware of Price's affection for the young Mulready Woods and is said to have schemed to place some of the teenager's remains at Price's doorstep. However, those tasked with this grim delivery were reportedly deterred by the presence of the Gardaí. Eventually, remains were discovered near the residence of Mr. Big. This act was interpreted as a stark warning to the rival Maguire faction, signalling that Robbie Lawler was not a figure to be trifled with. However, the tension escalated, and 3 months later, on the 4th of April 2020, the then 36-year-old Lawler met his demise. He was fatally shot in broad daylight on Etna Drive in the Ardoyne area of North Belfast. Reportedly, Lawler had arrived at a safe house expecting to receive money, but as he entered through the front door, a gunman made his entry through the back. Lawler attempted to escape but was gunned down in the front yard, in what is widely believed to have been a contract killing orchestrated by his adversaries. Legal discussions suggest that in the days leading up to the attack, a 3-man assassination team had been monitoring Lawler's movements and had visited his flat. 3 days before the fatal shooting, they supposedly enticed Lawler to his front door, allowing him to be recognized by the gunman. In court, it has been alleged that this shooter was 17-year-old Levi Killeen, son of imprisoned gangland figure John Dundon, who is serving time for the accidental murder of rugby player Shane Jagegan. It was claimed that Killeen, accompanied by his uncle, Ger Dundon, and another associate, Quincy Bramble, all affiliated with the Dundon gang, could be linked to the crime by CCTV evidence. Following the shooting, the trio was apprehended in a vehicle near the murder scene, yet they were subsequently released without charges. This decision was met with significant disapproval, particularly since the PSNI, Northern Ireland's police service, found no concrete evidence to connect them directly to the murder. This release was particularly contentious, as Irish investigators were convinced that the Dundon group operated as a designated hit squad. Reports also suggested that Lawler had previously been under the protection of the Dundons during his time in prison. Robbie Lawler might have paid the Dundons for protection against his arch-enemy Cornelius Price, with an offer of continued security even after his release. However, Gardaí observed a transfer of cash to members of the McCarthy Dundon gang from Limerick. which they believed to be a €50,000 payment in exchange for their help in deceitfully luring Lawler to the scene, resulting in his betrayal in a dramatic fashion. The details surrounding Lawler's demise are still somewhat murky. His death was characterized as a gangland-style execution, with reports indicating he was shot multiple times in the head and body. The police have initiated an investigation into his murder, leading to several arrests. 2 men, Adrian Holland, the owner of the house on Etna Drive, and Patrick Tare, have been detained under suspicion of conspiracy to commit murder, although they were not the actual gunmen. Robbie Lawler's life was steeped in crime and violence. A contentious and divisive figure, he was both feared and respected within Ireland's criminal underworld. His death concluded a tumultuous and violent career, leaving a legacy of crime and chaos that continues to impact Ireland to this day. Share your thoughts and feedback in the comments section below. If you found my investigative analysis insightful, please be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the Pursuit of Perpetrators channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon too, so you'll get notified each time I release a new video. I appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Until then, stay curious and keep seeking truth.